Today we're taking a look at where your money may go further in places around Greensboro, North Carolina. Let's get into it. Thinking about moving to Greensboro, maybe you've just started looking online or you're realizing that Greensboro and the area is not necessarily cheap, but they are very popular, and compared to the rest of the state and the rest of the country, they're really low in cost of living, more affordable to buy here than it is in other states. Average price in Greensboro is currently $370,000, and then obviously depending on what you want, the price may go up and down from there. So buyers are definitely more payment conscious than they were a few years ago. If you're in the $400,000 to $600,000 range, you might have some more options. It depends on what you value and what your priorities are. We're going to be talking about places where you get more house for your budget, a better layout, more updates, larger lot, better commute, and a lifestyle that fits your family better. Basically, how we're going to maximize your budget to get the most out of it. So if you're trying to figure out where your budget actually makes the most sense in Greensboro, this video is for you. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Greensboro with Grace. I'm Grace Clifford, a local realtor in Greensboro. I help people buy, sell, and invest in Greensboro and the Triad real estate every single day. So if you're new here and you're thinking about relocating to the area or buying and selling, message me. I'd be happy to help you too. I also put out new content on YouTube every single week, and be sure to check my Instagram channel as well, because I'm always doing Grace's Places in short form. That's where I get to show the hidden gems of Greensboro as well as share some success stories. Let's get into it. A lot of buyers start by looking at neighborhoods they hear about first. Sometimes we'll go to Sunset Hills, Starmount Forest, Starmount Farms, Lake Jeanette, Oak Ridge, Summerfield areas. These are wonderful areas, but they can also come with a higher price tag. Some buyers can afford them, but they want to know, what am I getting? And am I getting the most I can for my budget? Could I get more somewhere else? Should I consider a nearby town? Those kinds of things. So the cheapest house is not always the best deal, and the most expensive house is not automatically the best fit. So this is all about budget. When I'm helping a relocation buyer, I'm not just asking what price point they want. I want to know how they actually want to live, because that's going to really show what areas are best and also what we need to make sure fits into that budget. Greensboro addresses definitely have more room to breathe. First, we're going to look at the 27455 Lake Jeanette area. That is the highest appreciating neighborhood. So if you're thinking about investments or buying a house and reselling, it's going to appreciate a lot faster there. Northern Greensboro can be a strong option for buyers who want to stay in Greensboro but want a little more space or quieter feel. Areas like Lake Jeanette, Northern Shores, Country Park access. There's trails and lakes nearby. There's established neighborhoods. Depending on the neighborhood, buyers may also find traditional layouts, larger homes. We're going to see square footage up in the 2,000 to 3,000 range, cul-de-sacs, wooded lots. There's going to be a lot more there. Might be a better fit for someone who wants the Greensboro address and still wants the space, and doesn't want to be right in the middle of downtown and wants the luxury of being close to parks and lakes and everything. What to keep in mind is that 27455 zip code has the highest appreciation, but you may not need to live in the highest price point neighborhood there. Northern Shores is most likely going to be the highest price point, but there are other homes in that area like Woodridge neighborhood and the Reserve neighborhood that are going to be closer to like the 350, 400 range, sometimes a little above the 400 range, and you're still able to live in that zip code, still be close to those amenities while not being in the $600,000 to $700,000 to $800,000 range. High Point can be a smart comparison for buyers who are wanting access to Greensboro but are okay with not being in the city. It's going to have some prices that are a lot lower than Greensboro. We're seeing averages on like 350 to like 400 or so, so a little below that median price point. It's a great backup option. I will say High Point during furniture market can be crazy. It's the furniture capital of the world. Everyone from all different countries comes to High Point for furniture market. And when furniture market isn't happening, there's not a ton happening in the city. So you're not having as much nightlife, restaurants, like general community activities. They do have a really strong college with High Point University. As a private college, is one of the top colleges in the area, and that also has a little bit of drive when it comes to what is happening in the city. Also in High Point, you're going to find things like established neighborhoods, townhomes, larger homes, and a couple new construction pockets as well. It's a good fit for someone who wants Triad access and is flexible with not being in the exact city. One thing also, if you're thinking about High Point, you definitely want to check out taxes and school zones, because that could shape resale value, and that's going to really vary depending on what part of High Point you're at. Next for our budget list is Kernersville. If you want to live in Greensboro or near Greensboro, but you're not as excited about that 370 to up price point that you see in Greensboro, 400 price point, Kernersville, you're going to see a lot closer to 300. You're still very close to Greensboro, about 20 minutes away. Small town, so again, not as much big activities, but you're not too far from them. Great for someone that wants to be kind of in the middle of the Triad. You're close 15 minutes to High Point, 20-ish minutes to Greensboro, you're going to see some established neighborhoods and a lot of new construction. Kernersville's adding a lot of new construction, and with budget, new construction, you can sometimes get all your closing costs paid for, or they offer lower interest rates as an incentive too. So definitely something to check out. This would be great for a buyer who's looking for a suburban neighborhood or wants a smaller town feel or potentially new construction. Next, we're considering Oak Ridge. Now, if you're familiar with the Greensboro area, you might be a little thrown for a curveball with Oak Ridge because that price point average goes between $400,000 to $600,000. But if you're a buyer in that price point, Oak Ridge is something you want to consider because you're going to get more bang for your buck in Oak Ridge. You're going to have more land, more privacy, larger homes for that price point, where $400,000 to $600,000 in Greensboro, you're not going to have acreage, you're not going to have as much privacy, and your home is going to be smaller. So when you're thinking about budget, you're definitely going to get more bang for your buck in Oak Ridge. It's going to be more suburbia, more rural lifestyle, and it's only 20 minutes from Greensboro, so it's still close to all of the amenities, the restaurants, and everything. They also have very high rated school zones in Oak Ridge. A lot of people love to live in Oak Ridge, and still being close to restaurants and grocery shopping. So Oak Ridge is going to be a great fit for a buyer who wants more room, wants acreage and yard, wants a quieter lifestyle, and is okay with not being 5 minutes from downtown Greensboro. Or prices can kind of go high quickly depending on the inventory. Right now, inventory in Oak Ridge is on the low side, so that kind of has those prices and that competitiveness come up. So you might just need to move a little faster if you're looking to move in Oak Ridge. The other thing to keep in mind with Oak Ridge is the houses in Oak Ridge are often on cell and septic systems. If that's not your vibe, it may not be something you're looking for. Oak Ridge is not what I would call cheap, but it is what I would call lifestyle value for the right buyer. You could get a lot of value out of Oak Ridge. Next up, Jamestown. Jamestown can be a great area to compare to if you want the charm and convenience of a smaller town, while still being 20 minutes from Greensboro, 15-ish minutes depending on traffic. It sits right between Greensboro and High Point, and it has appeal of a smaller town, but it still has amazing restaurants. Honestly, my favorite restaurant, Southern Roots, is in Jamestown, and I also love the Black Powder barbecue restaurant. Literally, I would go to Jamestown every day for food if I could because their restaurants are that good. They've got charming neighborhoods, they've got established homes, convenient to Greensboro and High Point, and that purchase price right now is going to be below the Greensboro average. We're looking at around 350s for the most part and a little under as like their average. It's going to be great for the buyer who doesn't want a huge city feel, who wants the charm, is open to a smaller area. Just keep your eye out because inventory can be tight. That's true for the whole state. North Carolina is the second most moved to state in the country right now. The Triad is the 10th most moved to city and area in the country right now. And the other thing to keep in mind with Jamestown is some homes might be on the older side. Jamestown is one of the places people tend to overlook until they start comparing lifestyles, commute, and charm, and then it really becomes an interesting option for people. So we've talked about the options. Let's make this a little more practical. Let's say a buyer comes to me and says they want a 4-bedroom house, a good yard, an updated kitchen, and they want to stay around $450 to $500. That is only going to be so many places in Greensboro. If they only search one neighborhood, they're going to feel really discouraged. But if we compare areas and bring in Oak Ridge and look at, some areas outside of Greensboro or some different specific neighborhoods in Greensboro, it's going to look really different. In one area, that budget is going to get a smaller home in a prime location, and another is going to be an older home with character. Another is going to be a lot of square footage and a lot of land, but not as close. So definitely want to make sure you figure out what you can afford. And that's why the question is not just what can I afford, but the better question is what trade-off am I most comfortable making with my budget? What are my priorities? And you'll hear me say this a lot, but remember there's no such thing as a perfect home. And if you keep thinking there's a perfect home out there, you're never going to find one. Besides price points, other things to keep in mind: monthly payments, property taxes, HOA dues, insurance, commute, how and far you want to be from your job, school zones and resale value with those school zone stores, home age, what is important to you with that? Do you want something move-in ready that's a new build? Do you want something that has character? What updates are needed? Because that is something to keep in mind with your budget. Lots of things to keep in mind. A house that looks like a better deal online is not always a better deal in real life. And for example, lower prices may need major updates, more space may mean longer commute, newer homes but having a higher HOA, larger lots but more maintenance, better location but smaller houses, beautiful homes but not the right lifestyle fit. The biggest mistake I see buyers make is they start with a price only and their wish list. A lot of buyers start by asking, where can I get the most house? That matters, but it is not the only question that matters. Other questions are, where do I want to spend my daily life? What commute am I willing to tolerate? Do I care more about space or location? Do I want new and easy or old with charm? Do I want neighborhood amenities or privacy? Do I want to be near restaurants and coffee shops? What are the order of these priorities and what would I be willing to trade? The main thing is you don't want to cut yourself off from something because you're trying to save money and then you realize that something that was maybe just a little different is actually more your lifestyle fit. Quick recap: northern Greensboro areas have a lot more room to breathe. High Point, you're going to have more options when it comes to lower price points but not as much activity. Kernersville, you're going to have more lower prices and you're in the middle of Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and High Point area. Oak Ridge, you're going to have a lot more bang for your buck when it comes to space and lifestyle and acreage. And then Jamestown, you have a lot of charm. And these are not automatically the best areas for everyone. They're always worth comparing if you want to make a smart move and understand where your money may go further. If you're thinking about moving to Greensboro, the Triad, reach out. I can help you compare budget, commute, schools, lifestyle, all of the things we discussed. My contact info is in the description, and make sure you're following along because every week I post new content and new videos, so hit that subscribe button. If you're relocating to the area, I have a free relocation guide I made for my clients. I'd be happy to send it to you. Finally, if you're trying to figure out what budget makes the most sense as you're relocating to the Greensboro area, reach out to me. I would love to connect, and make sure you're following along. I'll see you next time.